and today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for Wraith if you want to learn Wraith or if you want to get better as Wraith. So I do want to say that I am a Wraith main. I don't have a million kills on her, but I was Apex Predator every single season, top 500 every single season, and I do main Wraith. I would like to consider myself probably a top 10 Wraith on PS4 in terms of actual skill, not kills or anything or a leaderboard position, but a top 10 Wraith. So I do think I have some valuable tips to give, and if you're trying to learn Wraith, this is definitely the guide for you. So I do want to say before I get into the video that I will probably be putting some actual scenarios into the end of the video. So the first part will just be the 3 or 5 tips that I give, and then the end of the video will be me applying those tips in game and showing you real examples of how to do it in real time. So let's get right into the video. The first thing I want to talk about is Wraith's actual kit. And what I mean by this is her passive, Voices from the Void, her tactical, Into the Void, and her ultimate, the Dimensional Rift. So her passive, you basically just hear voices whenever someone's aiming at you, or if there's an enemy in the area, sometimes it will tell you, or if there's traps, as well as if you're just in a dangerous area where a lot of people have died recently. So the next thing I want to talk about is her L1. Her L1, or her tactical, is her phase. She's able to, for a short period of time, she's able to phase, not take damage, and then she comes out of it. It's a very, very short time period, maybe 5 seconds, not even, probably like 3 seconds, I don't know the exact time, but I know it's not very long. And then it has like a very long cooldown. I know it recently got nerfed. I think it has like a 30-second cooldown, which in my opinion is too much. But next thing is her portal. Her portal is, obviously you guys know, you've seen it, gives you a little bit extra movement speed, and it lets you teleport from place to place. So let's get right into the video. Her L1, I want to talk about her L1 a little bit because there's really not much to say about her passive other than the fact that you should be warning your teammates whenever it does pop up. So if it pops up, just press down on the D-pad, warn your teammates that you are in view of an enemy, and that way you'll be on your toes a little bit more and more ready as an entire collective instead of just you knowing and not telling anyone. So whenever it pops up, just tell your team, even if it's just something little like traps. Always just warn your team. So let's get right into the tactical, because this is probably one of the most, I wouldn't say that, this is a very, very important part of playing Wraith. I think her most important part is using the portal right, which a lot of people don't use right. But her L1, nevertheless, is a short duration phase where she does not take damage, but you can also not see opponents. As you can see, he disappears. So what you want to be doing is using it exclusively as a getaway. If you use this to go into a fight, you are thrown. You do not want to use her phase ability to go into a fight. It is entirely wasting it, and it is not the way to go. There are very, very few examples I could think of where this actually applies, where you can use it aggressively. But for the most part, you really want to be careful if you do use it aggressively. I can think of 2 specific scenarios where you should be using her L1 aggressively. And this is to push into a building that is Caustic trapped up or Watson trapped up. If you have downed one of them or damaged one of them really bad, you can phase in to get past the gas or fences, but just know that you are not going to have an escape, and whatever you're doing in there, you better do something crazy or kill all of them, because you're not getting out. So that is one way to use it offensively. Another way is to use it on zip lines. If you are pushing up a zip line and you're going to push on a team, you want to use it, and then you want to use it right before you get to the end of the zip line, before you jump off, because you want to jump off and immediately have your gun out and be ready to fight. And those are like realistically the only 2 examples I can think of for using her phase aggressively. For the most part, you want to use it as a means of getting out, as a means of getting away and escaping, because it's what makes Wraith so good and so aggressive, is because she can almost be unpunished and just get out of jail free card almost every single time you face. So you want to push in, you want to push in on a team, deal damage, knock a guy, do whatever, and then just phase out. Obviously, if you're not taking any damage, you know, you can stay a little longer and fight, but Wraith is going to be the aggressor most of the time in the fight, especially on teams. You are going to want to push in with Wraith, deal as much damage as you can, and then just leave. Right before you die, you want to get out, and you want to peel back and heal. It's very, very important that you do not die. You want to be able to phase and get out. That way, even especially if you don't trade, if you don't at least knock one of theirs, it's very, very important that you actually get out of there with your life and then go heal. You can use it to rotate as well. Say I want to go from point A to point B, you just have to realize, you know, how far it's going to be. Say I gotta move from here to there. Now that's a far distance to cover with the phase. So what I would do is I would go right here, and then you'd start getting shot at. You want to use your phase, and then you're behind the thing. They're not going to shoot at you immediately the second you poke out, so you want to use it like here, right? And then that way you can get across towards the end when they're actually all going to be focus firing you. You will be in the void, and they will not be able to hit you. So that's probably the best tip I can give for phasing and rotating, is just don't use it right away. Like, I know a lot of people will just, you know, they'll hit L1 here and then go flying out, and I'll show you exactly what happens if you do that. You know, say you do it like this. This is all time that they are tracking you at this point. They're seeing your thing go across, they're following you, and you're going to be like right here, and they're just going to tear you apart. So instead, you want to wait about a second before you rotate here, and then hit it right there. And then that way, they're going to see you right here, they're going to start shooting, but at that point, you're going to be in the void, and you're going to take 0 damage every time. So let's talk about her portal. I feel like we've talked enough about her tactical. There's a million situations, I can't name them all, but let's talk about her portal. Her portal is used very, very, very tactically. It should be very strategy based when you're using her portal. And right before I start talking about it, I want to say, if you are using Wraith's portal for extra movement speed, you are just wasting it. I mean, it's a waste. It's a total waste. The only time you can use Wraith's portal for extra movement speed is if you are a million miles in the zone and your team is dying fast. You can use your portal to help your teammates out of the zone. You can use your portal very, very effectively in that way, and I would save it for the most part unless you know that your teammates are going to die, but that's something that you need to assess and be able to make the decision in the time being, because you could get gatekeeped, and at the end of the zone, they're going to need that portal if there's a team there watching it. So just keep that in the back of your mind. You do not want to waste a portal. Wasting a portal is the most terrible thing you can do. I have saved a portal for half of a game before just because I haven't needed it, but I would much rather have it and not need it rather than need it and not have it. And that's pretty much the philosophy you should live by when using Wraith and judging on when to use your portal. It should be almost exclusively used to rotate a team. So what I mean by this is getting your team from point A to point B, especially late game circles and ranked. They can get a little crazy. I know there's tons of people on high ground with G7s, and if you try to run across, peek out, you're going to get demolished. So this is why Wraith had an almost 100% pick rate in the last tournament for Apex on PC. It's because she can safely rotate her team like no other legend in the game. So you can go from here, and then I would use phase, and you know, right there. And just like that, your team goes from here. They go from here to there, safe rotation, and it's always effective. So using portal for rotating is what I always do, and occasionally to help my teammates out of the storm. So another way you can use your portal, and this is not really wasting it, is I've used it multiple times in this manner. If you are fighting in the storm, and it's pretty deep in the storm, and you end up killing the opponents, right? We'll say that this line right here, we'll say that's the zone. And there's loot all the way over there, right? It's ticking pretty hard. You can use your portal to get in there quicker, and you will actually be able to loot. I would hit the portal, go back, and I'd heal up obviously for the storm, and then you can go back in and your entire team can now loot the boxes, but you just have to remember to keep it quick. Don't make too many trips, because if the portal closes and you're back here, well, you're probably going to die. So using the portal to loot objects that are deep in the storm, using your portal to rotate, and using your portal to save a teammate if they are deep in the zone, those are all very, very good ways of using the portal. I do want to say one more way to use the portal, and this is also a very, very effective method, and it's used a lot in ranked. And this is portaling a downed teammate. If someone gets picked with a G7, or they get bursted down real quick and they're in an open area, it's best to just portal them out. And what I mean by this is you're going to put a portal right on top of them, and you have to make it quick. So you would portal like here. You have to be quick with it because they're going to start getting thirsted. It's going to happen immediately, so you want to get them here, throw maybe a thermite on it, and then stick the res. That way if someone comes through the portal, they're going to be panicking since they're going to be on fire, literally, and they're probably just going to want to go back through. So if you're using your portal to revive a teammate, you just want to make sure to keep it quick. You do want to get the maximum range out of it, so it's nice to have communication and have the teammate, able to tell you like when you need to drop it, because they're going to be thirsted pretty quickly. But you do want to keep it quick. This is a relatively short portal. This is probably like 50%, not even. So you just want to go quick with it and get them behind cover as fast as you can, so that they're not in the open and they're not going to get thirsted. But a lot of using the portal is actually just situational, so there's no, I can't give you an exact guide because there's a million different scenarios where you could use it. But those 4 scenarios I talked about, which are rotating your team if they're going to die in zone, only if they're going to die in zone, rotating a downed teammate to a covered area, rotating a team from point A to point B in the final circles, or if you're in a choke point, and looting a box that is in the zone. So these are pretty much all the tips I can give you guys for Wraith. I do have one bonus tip, and that is going to be that Wraith has a small hitbox. So strafe with Wraith. It would be very difficult for you to hit me if I was doing this. So just keep that in your mind. I'm going to roll the clips coming up here now. Okay, so here we have the first clip, and this is something I didn't really talk about much in the video, but this is called coiling your portal. And what I mean by this is when the circle gets very, very small, you're going to want to move in small circular motions like this, just to expand your portal so that you will be able to live longer and go through the portal for longer, especially when the storm is closing, and then you want to rotate into where the final zone is going to be. It's going to get very small and very hectic quickly, so I kind of just sat off to the side of it a little bit and just kind of allowed my teammates to come through the portal, so we had a means of rotating down here. As you can see, there's a lot of Gibraltar ults, a lot of teams rotating in, and right here I utilize my phase just because you want to live as long as you can. I almost even choked against this Watson, but she ended up hitting my portal on accident and took a lot of damage, so she just came back through one shot and we ended up winning. So that's one quick example of how to coil your portal for the last circle. That also applies to heal offs, so you want to coil it the same exact way, and that's very, very rare that kind of stuff happens, but even still, that's how you coil it. And we're gonna get right to the next clip now. Okay, so here we have the next clip, and this is from a public match, but this is rotating with the portal past a choke point. So if I was just going to run out of here, as you can see right there, I'm going to pause it for a second. I waited. I'm going to back it up actually, and as you can see here, this is the tip I gave. Don't use your phase right away. Give it a second, because I was able to activate it later and get behind cover, and I ended up not even getting shot once. So that's the way of rotating your team. And as you can see, my Watson at this point, she did not take the portal. She just tried running through, and that was her main mistake. That's what would have happened to all of us if we hadn't portaled out of there. So that's how you rotate past a choke point, and that's a really bad choke point too. I was able to get right past all of them with the portal, so that's an effective way of rotating with the portal. So you can see here, I'm just going to play out the clip, but we basically win. We end up winning the fight. 2 down. You guys get what's going to happen next. So I'm just going to get into the next clip now then. So this is the final clip, and as you can see by the storm, it's not looking too good for us. This is a really good way of how Wraith can be used to rotate around into the storm, and as well as the timing of her L1 and how fast you can actually move with her. As you see here, I actually run through, and I think I take like 2 ticks of damage from the storm, and I'm able to get all the way around in that amount of time. So this just shows how good her rotating can be and how to use it properly. So as you'll see here, I time my L1 perfectly so that when I go through the storm, I don't take any damage at first, but I go in a little bit. I back up for a running start, slide in, and I end up hitting my L1 right there. Take no damage until now, take another tick, but at that point I've gotten all the way through. They were waiting for us obviously, but at this point my only objective was to heal. We were all going to come back anyway. And this is where the bruiser Wraith mentality has to come in. I said it before, Wraith has to be the first one to engage and then peel back. So I'm about to go through the portal again, and at this point my only objective is to deal as much damage as I can to set my team up to win. It's ideal to get a knock, but that doesn't always happen. So in this scenario I ended up doing a ton of damage. As you can see here, 198 on Caustic and 99 on Pathfinder, so at this point they have a grand total of like maybe 50 health. I don't know, I think the Pathfinder had Gray Shield because he was just rezzed, but even still, that's a prime example of how Wraith just being played as a damage dealer and a bruiser actually made us win that seemingly impossible game. Okay, so this is the final example that I'll be showing you guys for an actual in-game scenario, and this is a scenario where I actually saved both of my teammates with the portal. This was actually a video taken from a long time ago, but it was the game before I actually got into Top 500 Apex Predator. I was Diamond 1, as you can tell, and this game actually got me in. So what happened, as you can tell, we were in a really bad situation, small room, kind of stuck in this house, and my one teammate goes down here, and the other one ended up dying to zone as well because we were just trapped, we had nowhere to go, and I would never be able to stick the res for when they were out there, so I ended up being able to send a portal, go around, and I ended up having them go right through it and rezzing them here. I ended up shooting the Caustic barrel as well so no one would come in here, and this is what literally saved the game because I would have never been able to get them up in the previous situation that I was in. I would have been stuck right there. They would have pushed me if they heard me rezzing, or I would have gotten G7'd or anything, but either way I would have died if I hadn't portaled them. So this actually saved the game. We ended up winning, and I ended up getting into Apex Predator because of this. So that's pretty much all I have for today. So that's the end of the video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.